The image is unmistakable, a goaltender with a number 33 on his back, arms raised high after an impossible save, then casually winking at a frustrated shooter. This is Patrick Roy, perhaps the greatest playoff goaltender in hockey history. His story isn't just about stopping pucks, it's about changing how the position is played forever. Patrick Roy's name appears in the record books more than almost any other goaltender. 4 Stanley Cups, 3 Conn Smythe trophies as playoff MVP, a staggering 151 playoff victories. But numbers alone can't capture what made Roy special when the games mattered most. They called him St. Patrick in Montreal, where his legend began as a skinny 20-year-old rookie who seemed to transform into something superhuman when the playoffs arrived. His trademark butterfly style, dropping to his knees with pads spread wide, was once considered unorthodox. Today, nearly every goaltender in the world uses techniques Roy pioneered. What separated Roy wasn't just skill, but an unshakable confidence that sometimes bordered on arrogance. His famous wink after robbing a shooter in the 1993 playoffs wasn't just showmanship. It was psychological warfare. He wasn't just stopping shots. He was breaking the will of opposing teams. From his miracle run as a rookie in 1986 to his final championship in 2001, Roy defined clutch performance. When other goalies might crumble under pressure, Roy seemed to thrive on it. The bigger the game, the better he played. And while many great players never win a single championship, Roy captured hockey's ultimate prize in 3 different decades, with 2 different franchises. This is a story of a goaltender who didn't just win championships, but seized them through sheer force of will. It's about impossible saves, heated rivalries, dramatic comebacks, and the burning competitive fire that turned Patrick Roy from a talented young goalie into a hockey immortal. Patrick Roy's path to greatness began in Quebec City, where he was born in 1965. Unlike many future NHL stars, Roy wasn't considered a prodigy from an early age. He was cut from his first youth hockey team and had to fight for recognition at every level. This early adversity shaped the fierce competitor he would become. By age 18, Roy had done enough to catch the attention of the Montreal Canadiens, who selected him in the 3rd round of the 1984 NHL draft, hardly the spot reserved for future legends. After a brief stint in the minor leagues, Roy was called up to Canadiens during the 1985-86 season when the team's starting goaltender was injured. What seemed like a temporary solution quickly became something much more. Roy showed flashes of brilliance during the regular season, but few could have predicted what would happen when the playoffs began. At just 20 years old, with only 47 NHL games under his belt, Roy was thrust into the pressure cooker of playoff hockey in Montreal, a city where goaltenders were expected to be nothing less than perfect. The 1986 Canadiens were not considered serious contenders. The team had talent but lacked experience. What they found in their rookie goaltender was something special, a young man who seemed completely unfazed by the mounting pressure. Roy's technique was still developing, but his mental toughness was already fully formed. Game after game, Roy stunned opponents with acrobatic saves. He didn't just stop pucks, he demoralized shooters. The Canadiens upset the Boston Bruins in the first round, then dispatched the Hartford Whalers. In the conference finals against the New York Rangers, Roy was nearly unbeatable, allowing just 9 goals in 5 games. The Stanley Cup finals pitted Montreal against the Calgary Flames. Roy continued his stellar play, including a pivotal Game 4 performance where he stopped 39 shots. When the final buzzer sounded in Game 5, the Canadiens were champions, and their rookie goaltender had led the way with a remarkable 1.92 goals against average throughout the playoffs. For his efforts, Roy became the youngest player ever to win the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP. At an age when most goaltenders were still developing in the minors, Roy had already etched his name in hockey history. This wasn't just a surprising championship run. It was the announcement of a new era in goaltending. The Patrick Roy era had officially begun. The years following Roy's rookie triumph brought both success and challenges. While he established himself as one of the NHL's premier goaltenders, winning multiple Vezina trophies as the league's best goalie, another Stanley Cup remained elusive. The Canadiens made deep playoff runs but couldn't recapture the magic of 1986. By 1993, 7 years had passed since Montreal's last championship. The hockey landscape had changed dramatically. The Edmonton Oilers dynasty had come and gone. New powerhouses like the Pittsburgh Penguins, led by Mario Lemieux, dominated the league. The Canadiens were no longer seen as the force they once were, entering the 1,993 playoffs as underdogs despite a solid regular season. What unfolded that spring was nothing short of miraculous. The Canadiens, led by coach Jacques Demers, faced the Quebec Nordiques in the first round. After falling behind in the series, Wall found another level to his game. His play sparked a comeback that set the tone for what would become a legendary run. The defining characteristic of the 1993 playoff run was Montreal's uncanny ability to win in overtime. Time after time, the Canadiens would find themselves in extra periods, and time after time, Wall would shut the door on opponents while his teammates scored the winning goal. This wasn't just good fortune. It was a goaltender imposing his will on the entire playoffs. In the second round against the Buffalo Sabres, Wall's play reached mythical proportions. Game 4 of this series produced one of the most famous moments in playoff history. After robbing Buffalo's Brad May with a spectacular save, Wall winked at the stunned shooter, a display of confidence that became instantly legendary. The Canadiens won all 4 games of the series in overtime, with Wall allowing just 12 goals in the 4 games. The conference finals against the New York Islanders brought more of the same, clutch goaltending from Wall and timely scoring from his teammates. When Montreal advanced to face Wayne Gretzky and the Los Angeles Kings in the Stanley Cup Finals, they had already won an NHL record 10 consecutive overtime games. The finals opened with a shocking moment when Wall's stick was ruled illegal in Game 1, forcing him to switch equipment. Despite this distraction, he quickly regained his composure. After dropping the opener, Montreal won 4 straight games to claim the cup. The overtime magic continued, with the Canadiens winning games 2 and 3 in extra time. When the final horn sounded in Game 5, Montreal had captured its 24th Stanley Cup. Wall had posted a remarkable 16-4 record in the playoffs with a 2.13 goals against average. He became just the 4th player in NHL history to win the Conn Smythe Trophy twice. The 1993 run cemented Wall's reputation as the greatest big-game goaltender of his generation, perhaps of all time. The events that led Patrick Wall from Montreal to Colorado stand as one of the most dramatic turning points in hockey history. For nearly a decade, Wall had been the face of hockey's most storied franchise. He had brought 2 Stanley Cups to a city that considers hockey nothing less than religion. But on December 2nd, 1995, everything changed in a single tumultuous night at the Montreal Forum. In a regular season game against the Detroit Red Wings, Montreal coach Mario Tremblay left Wall in net as Detroit scored goal after goal. Wall, feeling humiliated, finally stopped a routine shot and sarcastically raised his arms in celebration as the home crowd cheered mockingly. When he was finally pulled after allowing 9 goals, Wall walked directly to team president Ronald Corey, who was sitting behind the bench, and declared he had played his last game for Montreal. 4 days later, the unthinkable happened. Patrick Wall, the cornerstone of the Canadiens, was traded to the Colorado Avalanche along with captain Mike Keane. The hockey world was stunned. The Avalanche, in her first season after relocating from Quebec, had suddenly acquired the game's premier goaltender. Wall arrived in Denver with something to prove. His reputation had taken a hit after the dramatic exit from Montreal, and questions swirled about whether his best days were behind him. The Avalanche, meanwhile, were a team loaded with talent. Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg provided offensive firepower. Adam Foote anchored the defense. What they lacked was championship experience in net, precisely what Wall brought. The transition was seamless. Wall immediately embraced his new surroundings and teammates. The Avalanche surged to the top of the Western Conference standings. For Wall, the fresh start seemed to rejuvenate his game. He posted some of the best regular season numbers of his career. Behind the scenes, Wall was already having a profound impact on the Avalanche organization. He brought a championship mentality to a talented but untested group. His pre-game routines, his attention to detail, and his unwavering confidence became the foundation for a new culture in Colorado. Teammates marveled at his preparation and intensity. As the 1996 playoffs approached, Wall had successfully transformed his career. No longer was he defined by his bitter exit from Montreal. Now he was the final piece of a championship puzzle in Colorado, a franchise looking to make history in its very first season in Denver. When the 1996 playoffs began, the Colorado Avalanche entered as legitimate contenders but faced a challenging path to the Stanley Cup. The Western Conference was loaded with talented teams, and many questioned whether a franchise in its first year in a new city could possibly go all the way. What these doubters underestimated was the impact of Patrick Roy in playoff hockey. The Avalanche dispatched the Vancouver Canucks in the first round, with Roy allowing just 11 goals in 6 games. His calming presence in net gave his new teammates the confidence to play their aggressive, skill-based style without fear. The Chicago Blackhawks fell next, as Colorado rolled through the second round in 6 games. The Western Conference Finals brought a matchup against the Detroit Red Wings, a powerhouse team that had set an NHL record with 62 regular season wins. This series marked the beginning of one of hockey's most intense rivalries, a bitter feud that would define both franchises for years to come. Roy was at the center of it all, engaging in verbal sparring with Detroit stars and backing up his words with stellar play. In a stunning upset, the Avalanche eliminated Detroit in 6 games. Roy's brilliance was on full display in the clinching Game 6, where he made 38 saves in a 4-1 victory. The image of Roy raising his arms after a spectacular save became an iconic moment in this budding rivalry. Colorado had knocked off a historically great Red Wings team, and their goaltender was the primary reason. The Stanley Cup Finals pitted Colorado against the Florida Panthers, a Cinderella team in just their 3rd year of existence. Roy made sure Florida's magical run ended abruptly. He recorded a shutout in Game 3 and allowed just 4 goals over 4-game sweep. When the series ended, Roy had won his 3rd Stanley Cup and done something no goaltender had accomplished before, winning championships with 2 different franchises. This triumph represented perfect redemption for Roy. Just months after the embarrassment in Montreal that seemed to threaten his legacy, he had climbed back to hockey's summit with a new team. For the Avalanche franchise, winning the Cup in their first season in Denver was a storybook beginning that established them as an NHL powerhouse. Perhaps most remarkably, Roy had now won Stanley Cup 7 years apart, showing a longevity at the elite level that few goaltenders had ever managed. While most netminders are considered past their prime by their 30s, Roy was demonstrating that his best years might still be ahead of him. His unique butterfly style, which put less emphasis on raw athleticism and more on positioning and technique, was proven to be a method that could extend his dominance well into his 30s. The 5 years following Colorado's 1996 championship saw the Avalanche remain among the NHL's elite teams, but another Stanley Cup victory proved elusive. Roy continued to excel, winning more regular season games and adding to his collection of shutouts. The rivalry with Detroit intensified, with several infamous incidents including a goalie fight between Roy and his Red Wings counterpart Mike Vernon in 1997. By the 2000 to 2001 season, Roy was 35 years old, an age when most goaltenders have already begun their decline. Instead, he posted one of the finest seasons of his career, winning 40 games with a sparkling 2.21 goals against average. He captured his 3rd Vezina trophy, confirming his status as the league's premier goaltender even as he approached his late 30s. The Avalanche entered the 2001 playoffs as President's Trophy winners with the league's best record. They were on a mission not just for themselves, but for teammate Ray Bourque, the legendary defenseman who had played 22 seasons without winning a Stanley Cup. Mission 16W, signifying the 16 wins needed to capture the Cup, became Colorado's rallying cry. Roy's playoff performance in 2001 represented the culmination of everything he had learned in his 15-year NHL career. He wasn't just stopping pucks, he was controlling entire games. His puck handling had improved dramatically over the years, allowing him to act as a 3rd defenseman at times. His communication with teammates, positioning, and ability to make key saves at crucial moments were all at their peak. After defeating Vancouver in the first round, Colorado faced a stern test against the Los Angeles Kings in round 2. Roy was brilliant, particularly in a Game 7 shutout that propelled the Avalanche to the Western Conference Finals against the St. Louis Blues. There, Roy allowed just 5 goals in 5 games, recording 2 more shutouts as Colorado advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals. The New Jersey Devils, defending champions led by goaltender Martin Brodeur, presented the ultimate challenge. The finals became partly a battle between Roy, the established legend, and Brodeur, the heir apparent to the title of hockey's best goaltender. The series lived up to its billing, swinging back and forth until it reached a decisive Game 7. The defining moment of the series came in Game 6. With Colorado facing elimination in New Jersey, Waugh delivered what many consider the finest performance of his playoff career. He stopped all 24 shots he faced in a 4-0 victory, extending the series and setting up Game 7 in Denver. His save on Devils forward John Madden's breakaway attempt became an instantly iconic moment, Waugh calmly closing his glove on the puck, then showing it to Madden in a characteristic display of confidence. In Game 7, Waugh was perfect again, making 25 saves in a 3-1 victory that secured Colorado's second Stanley Cup and the fourth of Waugh's illustrious career. When Captain Joe Sakic immediately handed the cup to Ray Bourque instead of taking the traditional captain's lap, Waugh joined his teammates in celebrating the perfect ending to their season-long mission. At age 35, Waugh had become the oldest goaltender to win the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP and the first to win it 3 times. Patrick Waugh's final Stanley Cup in 2001 put an exclamation point on a career that rewrote the record books and transformed goaltending forever. He played 2 more seasons with the Avalanche before retiring in 2003, finishing with 551 regular season wins, at the time, the most in NHL history. But it was his playoff legacy that truly set him apart. Waugh's playoff numbers are staggering: 151 wins, 23 shutouts, and a 2.30 goals against average across 247 games. No goaltender has won more playoff games. Only 2 have more shutouts. His 4 Stanley Cups spanned 15 years from first to last, demonstrating a longevity at the elite level rarely seen in the physically demanding position of goaltender. Beyond the statistics, Waugh's impact on hockey can be measured in how he changed the goaltending position itself. When he entered the NHL, the stand-up style was still common, with goaltenders staying on their feet as much as possible. Waugh's butterfly technique, dropping to the ice with knees together and pads flared outward, was considered radical when he first employed it. Today, virtually every professional goaltender uses some variation of the butterfly, a testament to Waugh's influence. Waugh also changed how goaltenders approach the mental aspect of the game. His unshakable confidence, sometimes perceived as arrogance, became a model for future generations. He pioneered many of the ritualistic behaviors now common among goaltenders, talking to his goalpost, visualizing plays before they happen, and never looking back after allowing a goal. This mental toughness allowed him to bounce back from bad games in ways that amazed teammates and frustrated opponents. As a leader, Waugh's impact extended beyond his own performance. Teammates often spoke of how his presence changed the entire team's confidence level. When Waugh was in net, everyone played with more poise, knowing they had the ultimate insurance policy behind them. His preparation and professionalism set standards that elevated entire organizations. The rivalries Waugh participated in, particularly the explosive Colorado-Detroit feud of the late 1990s, helped drive the NHL's popularity during this era. His personal duels with other elite goaltenders, Brodeur, Dominik Hasek, Ed Belfour, created compelling storylines that captivated fans. Waugh never shied away from these challenges. He seemed to relish them. After retirement, Waugh's influence continued as a successful junior hockey coach and later as head coach of the Colorado Avalanche. His coaching style reflected the same intensity and attention to detail that characterized his playing career. Many of the goaltenders who came after him, from Marc-Andre Fleury to Carey Price, cited Waugh as their childhood idol and the reason they took up the position. Patrick Waugh's journey from a young goaltender cut from his first youth team to the pinnacle of hockey immortality represents the perfect blend of talent, determination, and mental fortitude. His 4 Stanley Cup championships tell only part of the story. Each cup run revealed different aspects of Waugh's brilliance. The precocious rookie in 1986, the overtime king in 1993, the redemption seeker in 1996, and the veteran champion in 2001. What separated Waugh from other talented goaltenders was his ability to elevate his game when the stakes were highest. The greater the pressure, the better he performed. This rare quality made him the goaltender that players wanted behind him, and the one opponents feared facing in crucial moments. His playoff record of 151 wins may never be broken, a testament to both his excellence and longevity. The butterfly style Waugh perfected revolutionized his position, creating a technical blueprint still followed by goaltenders around the world. Before Waugh, goaltending was often reactive. After him, it became a disciplined, technical discipline with specific movements for specific situations. His approach to the position allowed for consistency that previous styles couldn't match. Waugh's outspoken confidence in theatrical moments, From the wink against Buffalo to showing the puck to John Madden, added color and personality to a position often hidden behind a mask. He understood that goaltending was as much psychological as physical, and he used every tool at his disposal to gain the mental edge over shooters. In 2006, Wall was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. In his first year of eligibility, the ultimate recognition of his revolutionary career. His number 33 has been retired by both the Montreal Canadiens and Colorado Avalanche, making him one of the few players honored by multiple franchises. Patrick Wall's legacy lives on every time a young goaltender drops into the butterfly position or shows the mental toughness to bounce back from a bad goal. His influence spans generations and transcends statistics. When the pressure mounted and championships hung in the balance, no goaltender in hockey history proved more reliable than Patrick Wall. That's why his name will forever be synonymous with playoff excellence, the ultimate compliment for a player in a sport that values championship performance above all else.